Hello. This is the story of the traveler walking between different worlds, taking in information, allowing themselves to be judged, to live without judgment. The goal is to become that conscious human. So the traveler, they walk without identity, without attachment, and just let the sun shine and let whatever is seen, whatever is said, be there to experience different sides of life, to see the light and the dark, and to really be present with that. To really be present with that, to be conscious in this moment, to get better self-understanding. This energy is learning to accept ourselves, learning to tolerate others, accept others. It's, the invitation of this wave is the dog. To be that loving, loyal dog. And the dog is all about this balancing of loyalty to ourselves and loyalty to others. It's about being tolerant. But it's also, this wave is very much about self-acceptance. And gosh, I must say, it can be heavy sometimes. I really felt it today. And I really had this hesitance if I was going to do the podcast right now. But it feels good because this is part of the energy. It's, allowing yourself to let go of heaviness. Allowing yourself to release old feelings, old restrictions, old judgments. There's the wind, a wind that sets us in motion, Breathe. I've been feeling that today as well. I've felt several times I really need to do some more breathing. I'm feeling like, I was feeling a bit, I opened the window some more today because it's finally not that cold outside anymore. Letting some wind in, letting some fresh air in. So that's something that's moving in today. I'm actually recording this in the evening right now on Yellow Sun 1, but as you're hearing it, it is Dragon 2. Dragon is the dragon that is presenting. We respond with that dragon energy, which is taking good care of yourself, This wave can really face us with ourselves, can really face us with what's not working yet, face us with what's broken. And the dragon is then here to say, okay, let's take good care of things. Let's work on what needs to be worked on, but also let's take care of ourselves. Let's be that warm, soft energy, the dragon that has faith that, okay, so some things are not where they should be yet, but let's have faith that we'll get there. Let's travel onwards. Let's balance these energies. The Worldbridger at the top of this wave, the traveler, is also yin and yang. It's the balancing of energies. So let's find more balance. Let's see, where do we need a bit more yin energy? Where do we need maybe to pull back, to reflect, to hold, to be calm? And where do we need some more yang energy? Where do we need some activity, some forward movement, some motion? Where do we need to take initiative? Just like the dragon is today saying, okay, let's take good care of ourselves. This whole 2-week energy has this dog on 11, inviting us to be compassionate with ourselves, to be loving, to be patient. There is, this wave, it takes in the sun, it takes in the sunlight. So it's a beautiful energy to spend some time in the sun. But maybe you've been spending too much time in the sun. Maybe it's time to move on and go and walk around, go and travel somewhere new, go and move somewhere new. This sun energy represents a bit of perhaps laziness, a bit of, this feeling of just sitting in the sun, just laying in the sun, doing nothing. And so maybe I recognize this a bit. This feeling of, we've been sitting in the sun, right? So that's when it's at tone 1, when it's the starting point of the wave, it's kind of like that's where we come from. We've been spending time in the sun, and now it's time to get out. Now it's time to get busy. We have the next yellow sign, seed 5, happening 3 days from now. But of course, all of these energies are part of this whole 2-week energy. And the seed, this is moving forward with planting, It's the garden season is starting, and we're certainly starting to work on planting some seeds and working in the garden to prepare the beds and really, which is another part of this energy, right? Moon 10 is manifesting, making physical, and that is the beds in a garden where you can put your seeds into, right? So that's part of this wave. Of course, we've recently had the Taurus new moon, which is also the moon that sort of starts a gardening season, which is what we are in right now, right? In April. And that's Greek astrology, but I like to mix a little bit sometimes. But we see it reflected. That's the interesting thing. We see it reflected in the Mayan astrology here as well. That there's this energy right now of starting the garden, of making the beds, of doing the planting. And this yin and yang energy, right? This Worldbridger, it's very much related to the garden as well. Because part of gardening is always this sort of balance between life and death. Yesterday, I was in the garden and I wanted to clear some beds to be able to plant some seeds there. And I had to take out all of this grass. That grass is going to die now. But if I didn't take out the grass, the other plants couldn't grow there so that I could have my food, so that I could survive, because I need food as well. And so that's this interesting balancing act, right? That the Worldbridger has to do, that the gardener has to do, that we all get to do in our lives, where sometimes we have to say, okay, this thing in my life has to go in order to make room for this other thing in my life. Certain behaviors, perhaps, that we need to let go of in order to step into new behaviors, in order to create a new life, in order to shape our lives differently, so that we get to the life that we want, right? In order to step into the new. The Worldbridger lets go of the old and steps into the new. You might notice we have some similar themes here as we had a month ago in the white wave of Wizard towards Worldbridger. Some of those similar energies are coming back again, now in the yellow wave. For the past 1.5 months, we've been in this first castle, which has really been getting us to look at our shadow, really getting us to let go of old stuff that's no longer working. And now we get to integrate all of that. We get to integrate all the work we've been doing for the past 6 weeks. We get to really get to the bottom of, okay, where am I? Who am I? And sort of finish up with our designing of who do we want to be, where do we want to go? And like I said, this energy, you might have been feeling it yesterday, can be a bit confronting. It can really sort of say, okay, this is where you're at. I hope you like it. And maybe you really don't like it, but this is where you're at. And now it's inviting us to accept where we are at, to embrace it. Okay, I might not like some of these things, but this is where I'm at right now. And if you can embrace where you are right now, that helps you to say, okay, I want to go over there. If we are in resistance to where we are, if we don't acknowledge where we are, if we're like, no, I don't want to be here, or I don't accept that that's where I'm at, or we just don't look at it, right? We try to not look at where we really are, then we can't truly move into where we really want to be. So that's what this wave is showing us, is we have to come to acceptance of ourselves. We have to come to forgiveness. Maybe there are things to forgive. Maybe there are apologies to be made. That's interesting. I just realized this morning I was thinking about 2 different situations where I wanted to make an apology to someone. I was sort of realizing how it's good that I'm learning to say sorry more. I've always been very accepting of life as it is, or at least that's a quality I've cultivated a lot. And in that, also accepting myself as I am, and thus not feeling the need to say sorry, because it felt weird to say sorry, because then am I not saying that I did something wrong, right? But what I'm realizing is that it feels good to say sorry sometimes. I also don't think I was expecting much apologies from other people, right? That's part of that acceptance of things as they are. But yeah, it's weird for other people sometimes as well, if you don't apologize for things. Yeah. And so, well, anyways, this energy is inviting us to do that. This energy is inviting us to apologize or forgive, or inviting us to feel that gratitude, you know. You can tune in for yourself, feel for yourself what it is inviting you to do. But that's the invitation for these 2 weeks, to be the dog. Now, we have 3 different gap energies in this wave. GAP stands for Galactic Activation Portal. It's a rather unusual thing. Not that many waves have this many portals in it. So that's fun. I wanted to talk about that. In 2 days from now, from when this video gets uploaded, this podcast gets uploaded. So that would be on the 6th of May. That's the first one. It will be night 4. We have another one in 4, 6, 7 days from that day. So that would be the 13th. And then also the 14th of May, we have those gap energies, dog 11 and monkey 12. So the gap, the galactic activation portal, is where the veil is a little thinner, where the energy, the connection to the sky, the connection to the divine, to the quantum field is a bit more open. And so we're able to tune in, we're able to manifest and really indicate what we want, but also we're able to receive information, receive new insights. So watch for that, particularly on the 6th, the 14th, and the 13th of May. Yeah. But also just throughout this wave, that energy will be present to some extent. So yeah, this wave, we're taking in information. We're taking in information. We might be providing information, but there's definitely a sense of taking in information, lots of information, allowing ourselves to let go of old belief systems, to reevaluate, to change, but also to integrate what we have taken in, to really look at what have we learned over the past weeks and months, and how do we want to move forward differently now based on what we have learned. This wave, the goal human, is about shaping the life that you want. What world, what life do you want to live? What world do you want to live in? What human do you want to be? This wave creates a beautiful design of a human, creates a beautiful design of how you want to be. After this wave, we're going to go try it out. We're going to go try it out and see how it goes to actually live in the way that we think is best. But right now we get to tune a bit more. What do you think is good? How do you want to live? What are your norms and values? What is important? And how do you want to give expression to life the coming 8 months at least? After that, we get to choose again. But yeah, we get to now really say, okay, what am I not going to take with me? What am I taking with me? What am I stepping into? We might be releasing old identities. We might be stepping into new identities. And saying, okay, this is what I'm going after. So it might start up a bit quiet or a bit confronting, but as we move to this wave, we will step into more confidence, more of a creator mindset. We can really step into changing our belief systems, into letting go of old things and really stepping into the new, really saying, okay, let's go. There's also an energy here of connecting with your neighbors, connecting with other people. But there could also be an energy of feeling like, wow, I really see clearly now that this relationship isn't working for me anymore. So there's certainly an energy of clarity here, and getting clarity on our relationships, getting clarity on what is good for us and what is not good for us. And then as we get that clarity, it's time to dare to shape your life. To say, okay, I'm going to make some decisions. I'm going to make some choices. I'm going to say this does not belong anymore, and this does. I'm going to go after that. That's the energy that we're working with right now. Up until the 15th of May, we're in this energy. And then we're stepping into a whole new costume, a whole new energy. But right now, we get to work with all of this that I just mentioned. We get to balance the snake. Red Snake 6, bringing some balance to our body wisdom, to our passion, to our instincts. So this is about finding our balance with our body, finding our balance with our physicality, with going after whatever we want, or just randomly, well, not randomly, just following our instincts, right? But also being present to listen to our bodies. And sometimes we may need balance by listening to our bodies more, and sometimes we need to go after our passion and our desire more. You will find through this wave what it is that you need. Clarity, if you don't already have it now, will come. Yesterday, or whenever you're listening to this, but on the 3rd of May, so for me that's today, it was Yellow Sun. The theme was being set. And I find that this first day of the wave always kind of presents us with this whole wave, right? It sets the theme, but it also often makes me feel that tone 11, that dog that we're being invited into. And it sort of brings lots of these different energies. So if you're listening to this, maybe you're listening to this several days later, think about what you were doing on the 3rd of May, right? Think about how that felt, what came up, and work with that throughout these days. And yeah, I think that's about it, Travel through these days, letting go of the old, stepping into the new, and dare to make some choices about what you want, about where you want to go, and say, okay, I'm really gonna shine in being that which I want to be. I'm gonna go do this. So that's what we got for these 2 weeks. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I hope you will have a wonderful week. And I'll see you next time. Bye.